We're going to look at 15 must-start players for Week 4, and what we do here is we go game by game, matchup by matchup, and try to find that lock from that game that should hit, that should go off, that should be an easy start. We'll also talk about a bunch of players in those matchups as well, but I'm not going to be able to touch everybody, so if you have any start-sit questions, drop it in the comments below, and I'll get back with you throughout the weekend, probably Saturday night, and I'll answer all your questions and help you out. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and stop missing out, because we're talking about these players nonstop every day. We're doing deep dives, we're helping you set lineups, we're helping you with trades, and everything else. Hit that subscribe button, stop missing out. But let's look at the 15 must-start players for this week. So starting with our first matchup, Falcons at the Jaguars, but we're going to be overseas. And the Falcons last year overseas, that's when they started to light things up. We got a 43 over-under. Very interesting here. Very interesting over-under. It's going to be hard to peg, really, because they got that travel. Could be an ugly game, or it could be a game that breaks loose. But we do have a tight spread. Kyle Pitts has been good overseas as well, playing in the morning games. So that's something you want to think about. That's when he's been most productive. However, this is going to be an interesting matchup because the Jaguars can push the pace. They're coming off a loss, and the Falcons got some pieces where they can also push the pace as well if they want to. I'm going with Bijan Robinson. Easy start here. 5.7 targets a game, 20% target share. So no matter where the game script goes, if Jacksonville's up, they're going to use them. If they're down and the Falcons are running it out, they're going to use them in the run game. The run back options for Jacksonville, obviously, is Calvin Ridley because he's getting targets. Travis Etienne because just like Bijan, he's using the passing game. He's using the run game. Doesn't matter where the game script goes. He's going to be getting opportunity. Those three are all easy starts from this matchup. There's probably some others. But really thinking simple here, simple terms, these guys should be in your lineups this week. Going to our next matchup here. Washington Commanders at the Philadelphia Eagles. 43.5 over-under. And this game could get very nasty. But it could be high scoring as well if the Commanders do what they did last weekend and just turn over the ball. They had 4 turnovers last week, 4 interceptions. So this could be a nasty game because the Eagles defense, not like they were in prior years, but still could be pretty nasty. 43.5 over-under, but the Eagles are expected to win big here because we got the spread of 8, and Vegas is expecting them to win. So we're going to go with A.J. Brown. He's getting targets here. 10 targets a game, 34.5 target share. 33 routes ran, 90.8% route participation rate. Easy start, easy money here. Both teams are in the bottom 10. When it comes to fantasy points allowed to wide receivers, they're right next to each other with 27.5 points per game with the Commanders and 26.9 for the Eagles. So expect some passing in this game, although both teams have been in some weird game scripts. So we need more games to really iron this out, to really get a good ratio, a good number for it. But for the run backs, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Jahan Dotson. Dotson has been a bust this year. So it might trend that way. It might, because this offense has been very wonky, but Terry McLaurin has been seeing through. He's been productive lately. Antonio Gibson, if the game script runs dry for the Commanders, he'll be using the passing game. However, if they're up, then it's going to be a Brian Robinson game. Brian Robinson should also be mentioned. I don't know why I didn't type him in there, so I'm mentioning him now because he does get opportunity. However, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, you're starting your Eagles wide receivers, your top 2 guys. And then the running backs, you're just going to have to throw them up in the air. But Terry McLaurin is the safest guy of the Commanders. Antonio Gibson, if they're down, I look for the Commanders to be down. Brian Robinson's going to get touches. He's been looking good. And then Dotson, I'm waiting on him. But I could see him really busting loose this week if the Commanders get down. Next, Ravens at the Browns. 40.5 over-under. This sounds like it's going to be an ugly game. This sounds like this is going to be a hard-fought, tough, nasty game. Probably both teams scoring in the 20s. Maybe slower paced, but could also break loose. Divisional matchup. Both teams got some weapons, but both teams are in position to run clock as well. If it happens, it can go either way. Looking at that, Elijah Moore, I like him. Amari Cooper, of course, is getting the targets, but I can really see the Ravens being able to shadow him up and lock him down a tiny bit. Then Deshaun Watson being able to force feed targets to Elijah Moore. And Elijah Moore's getting targets, 8.3 targets a game, 25% target share. He's up there with some of the top wide receivers when it comes to workload. He's running a lot of routes, getting a lot of opportunity. And run backs for the Ravens, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, the passing game. Because that's where you can probably get some work in on the Browns as they're tough against the run. It's going to be tough to pinpoint which running back you want from the Ravens right now anyways. So there's not much run back options here for the Ravens. Maybe Nelson Aguilar can be a sneaky play, but he's more for a sneaky start vid than a must-start vid. Next, Miami Dolphins at the Buffalo Bills. 54 over-under. And we know what the Miami Dolphins want to do. We know what the Bills are capable of doing. You're starting everybody. Everybody's a must-start who's running routes. Everybody's a must-start who's touching the ball. So with that concept, we're going with Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, James Cook, and honestly, just about everybody in this game. Just about everybody in this game. The tight end options, those are kind of sneaky starts. Tight ends are up and down. Just about anybody in this game getting a lot of workload. Tyreek Hill getting 11.7 targets a game, 34.7% target share, 29 routes a game. Just getting volume, yards after the catch, pure speed, sure nastiness. And then this offense is going to push the pace like they did last week. The Bills are a little bit tougher on defense than a lot of people realize. However, I think this is going to be a pace game. I think this is going to be a shootout. Vegas is betting on that. I see that happening, and we're seeing this a lot with the Dolphins. Bills can keep up. They're going to try to keep up. They got the firepower to do it. Going to be a fun one to watch. You're looking at this game as a tier breaker in a lot of your lineup decisions. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. 39.5 over-under. They might be able to hit the over pretty easy on this game. Saints are at home. They like to throw it downfield. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are here, and they can throw it downfield if the game script's pushed. Could be an interesting matchup here. The Buccaneers are ranked at the bottom 10 when it comes to granting fantasy points to wide receivers. Chris Olave is due a touchdown. He's due to cross the goal line, and he's getting elite workload. 10 targets a game, 11.6 average depth of target, 124 air yards a game. He's getting elite workload numbers. We're going to start seeing some touchdowns come his way. We're at home. We should see a shootout here. We could see this game script break. Mike Evans getting air yards, Chris Godwin getting volume, Rachaad White getting workload all over the place in the passing game and in the run game. There's going to be a lot of fantasy contributors from this game. I like this matchup. I like this one. I think you're going to get a lot of output from this for DFS. You're going to be making some stacks with these players. Next, Vikings at the Panthers here. 46.5 over-under. Vikings on the road. Their defense is allowing a lot in the passing game. They're also chucking the ball all over the yard. The Panthers at home, that gives them a little bit more opportunity to really exceed expectations in this game. 46.5 over-under. Vegas doesn't know what to do with it, so they slotted it right in the middle. With that being said, Jordan Addison, because Justin Jefferson's so easy, but Jordan Addison's due a little bit more workload here, but he's still seeing good workload, even with a 14.1% target share, running a lot of routes, seeing a lot of targets, getting air yards, getting opportunity, and this team's throwing the ball. And they're going to be whipping it all over the place. The Panthers versus wide receivers, though, they're one of the toughest in the league. However, though, I don't think the Vikings care. I think they'll spam these wide receivers with targets nonetheless because that's just how this offense does it. They'll use the run game a little bit, but I think they're going to spam it to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. And with the Panthers being a little bit more locked down, that could mean more ancillary targets going to guys like Jordan Addison in this offense, maybe TJ Hawkinson, maybe some other pass catchers. Next, Denver Broncos at the Chicago Bears. 46.5 over-under, because this is going to be an ugly game. We don't know what's going to happen. Vegas is saying that too. Because you would expect a very low-scoring game. But this is a game that could be nasty. This is a game that everyone's making fun of on the internet because nobody wants to watch this. No one wants to see it happen, but it's happening. That being said, Javonte Williams, both teams aren't that great against the run right now. Both teams are allowing a lot of fantasy points to running backs, so that's something to note. Javonte Williams is getting volume. He has 36 rushes on the season, not per game. He's still getting a lot of volume, though. About 13 rush attempts per game, 59.3% opportunity share. something you like to see. Also getting some work in the passing game as well. Also, Roschon Johnson, the guy you want to look at. Not a must start. Also, DJ Moore, not a must start. I don't really think there's really any must start players that you have to throw in your lineup in this game. In either team, you're not going to have a must start player throughout the year, but you are going to have guys you're playing the matchups with. I got to cover every game. I got to give you a must-start guy, but that doesn't mean he's a must-start guy. Just because I'm bad guy doesn't mean I'm bad guy. Next, Bengals at the Titans, and it's pegged for a low over-under, a low-scoring game. The Titans are pretty locked down when it comes to stuffing the run. Could create a pass funnel. The Bengals can light it up through the air if they need to, and if it's dictated that way, Jamar Chase. Do I really need to say more? We're getting a lot of targets. We're getting air yards. It's probably going to be a pass funnel game. Pass funnel games, you want to start those wide receivers for sure. So look for other pass targets in the Bengals offense. They may not be must starts though, but they may get opportunity. Titans, 4th worst, allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. Run backs, DeAndre Hopkins, that the Bengals can let loose. Derrick Henry or Tajay Spears, pick your poison here. Derrick Henry's not dead, but right now he seems like he's game script dependent. If the Bengals are up, it's probably going to be a Tajay Spears game, which is going to be a mixed bag. Derrick Henry, if the Titans can get what they want, they're going to use him a lot, and he could be a big fantasy contributor, but something you want to watch throughout the game. Next, Rams at Colts, 46 over under, and this game could be a barn burner. This one could be a high-scoring game. It could be ugly too. Rams are on the road against a rookie quarterback. Could be a fun one. Could be a fun one. Could be close. Could be a nasty one as well. Got to see how this one goes. Puka Nacua, easy one here. Colts are ranked 9th, allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. Look for Puka to get targets. He had a low week last week. Still was very productive. 14 targets per game with a 34.7% target share, 116 air yards a game. You just start the volume. Run backs, Zach Moss, 100% snap share pretty much. Michael Pittman getting elite target share. You're starting that no matter what as well. Next, Steelers at the Texans, 42.5 over under. This is probably going to be a nasty game, but the Texans can push the pace. It could be a sneaky game. We see that too. I could see this going all over the place, especially with Kenny Pickett and company. We're going with Dameon Pierce because you run on the Steelers a little bit here, and he's getting a lot of opportunity. When you look at the neutral game script numbers of the Texans, there's a lot of indications there that they want to run the football. They want to use Dameon Pierce. He's due because he's getting opportunities. He's getting touches. There's going to be a game where he does have his moment. This could be it. Run back options. Najee Harris, George Pickens, Jaylen Warren. Not really must-start players. Maybe George Pickens due to volume in the passing game. The running backs are just picking your poison there. However, they're getting volume. They're going to see volume in this game. And I see this game probably letting loose a little bit. Unless things go off script. So that's something you want to pay attention to. Next, Raiders at the Chargers, 48.5 over under. It's going to be a high-scoring game. The over-under says that. We're seeing this with the trends from both these teams. We're going with Josh Jacobs. The Chargers defense is a hot knife through butter right now. You can really cut through them. You're scoring fantasy points with your running backs, your wide receivers. Pretty much everybody's an option in this game. So you're going to see some good run backs with Joshua Kelly. This should be the game that gives you something because you can run a little bit in this matchup. You're not going to funnel it to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in this game. You're not going to funnel it to the wide receivers because it's so easy. You're not playing against the Vikings. That's one thing you can say about that. You're going to also say you can mix it up against this defense as well. Also, Josh Jacobs, slam dunk with the volume, no matter where the game script goes. Using the passing game, using the run game, going to get his opportunity. He's been low in the fantasy scoring output lately, so we should expect a big game from him. I expect to start a lot of people from this game. I think this is a good matchup for everybody in fantasy. Next, Cardinals at the 49ers. This could be an ugly one for fantasy football terms, but, of course, Christian McCaffrey's here. Lockdown, must start every video pretty much. Run backs, Marquise Brown. We want the Cardinals to get behind a bit so they can throw it. James Conner could cross the goal line, could get some opportunity here, maybe a little bit in the passing game, but we want the Cardinals to get behind. Christian McCaffrey's getting 23 touches per game. He's Christian McCaffrey. He's going to be catching the ball in the backfield. Must start, locked-in player. We got the Patriots against the Cowboys. Could be a lower scoring game. This could be ugly, but both teams can push the pace when needed too. This could break the over here. We're trying to predict which game scripts could break too, not just roll with the over-under. This game could break because we've seen the Patriots hang in the passing game. We've seen the Cowboys put up points. Both defenses are solid. This could be interesting. This could be a very low-scoring game or a high-scoring game. I know I've said that a lot, but I'm trying to figure out which games could break as well. CeeDee Lamb, when the game script looks like it could be tight, go with the volume here. Run backs, Ramondre Stevenson, getting work in the passing game, getting volume, getting opportunity. Mac Jones, having to throw the football if this game script breaks. If that happens, Mac Jones could be a huge guy here. Chiefs at the Jets. Jets are going to have a rough time with this one. The Chiefs, tougher on defense than what people realize. This could be a lower scoring game than what's realized. Why they got the 41.5 over under. However, we're rolling with Garrett Wilson because we're rolling with the volume. The target share at 31% is hard to not take a look at. And this is a game that could push the pace. We are hoping things break. That's what we're doing. We're hoping things break. And when it comes to the Chiefs, pretty much if you're running routes, you're an opportunity to start in fantasy. Travis Kelce's the must start for them. The other wide receivers, you're looking at them and you're hoping for the best. Next, Seattle Seahawks at the New York Giants. You can pass on Seattle. You can pass on them all day. 47 over under. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a fun one to watch. That's why we're going with Darren Waller here. He has been light in the pants when it comes to fantasy production, but he should be getting targets in this game. 6.7 per game right now, 20% target share. Should be getting volume here as you can throw on Seattle. You can run on the Giants as well. Kenneth Walker should have a good game. Charbonnet might get some opportunity here. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. We all know about those guys. But those are 15 must-start players that we're looking to put in our lineups this week as we go game by game, game script by game script, trying to figure out who we want to start. Remember, drop your start-sit questions in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you on the next video.